So for more on all of this, our friend Doug Flynn joins us now, co-founder at Flynn Capital Management. Use your phone to pay for stuff, Doug, or not really? Good. See?
Quite a bit, actually, yeah. I do the Apple Pay and whatever else, yeah.
Absolutely. I told you, Claudia. All right, so what about this China story in Venezuela? Is that the real story in the background of all of this? Everybody keeps talking about whether American oil companies are going to make money there and, you know, what the future holds. Is it really all about China?
Well, China was obviously taking advantage of the part of what they're doing is they're buying it at below market prices. And so that gives them an advantage. And so that's another thing, if you want to knock off that they're going to not be able to do anymore, they might have to pay more market prices, especially if now there's not going to be the embargo that there was, which they shouldn't have been buying, basically, if we're not allowing it. And now maybe we will allow it and they'll have to pay market prices, and so they don't get that edge that they've been running, even though they're kind of doing it in a roundabout way. That was the key advantage of why they were doing it, and then other countries too, not just China, of course, that are trying to buy it from them.
We're going in from Trump's point of view here, and again, there's a lot of geopolitics here. We could argue about, what other strategy there is. We know oil's a part of it. We know economics is a part of it, but is it just oil? I know later in the show we plan to talk some about some of the rare earth minerals and that type of stuff. How do you see the economic side, I guess, was what I'm asking, big picture of the Venezuela story?
Sure. Yeah, I mean, the market is funny because I'm tying it to the market in this way, and obviously the markets are not always directly aligned with the economics of everything, and so the markets rise, in this case, sort of like Wall Street saying, hey, we're going to make money off of a dictator, basically, is what's going on, and you're seeing this in the valuation of the Venezuelan bonds, which are rising because now perhaps they're not going to be completely bankrupt or default, so there's some backstories of that going on. But economically, realistically, what happens here, if you think about just a couple of years ago, when Venezuela was one of the richest countries, and now it's clearly not. So the idea is, let's get it back over there. They become a key player in the Western Hemisphere. The market's more aligned, and I think that is a better longer-term play than the uncertainty that's going on. So I think that's where the economics do tie in, is that you reduce a wild card here, basically in our backyard, if you will.
Now, President Trump argues that market rally, at least the stock market part of the rally, is because of his tariffs. He put another Truth Social post out, you laugh, earlier today saying the USA markets just hit another all-time high, all of them. Thank you, Mr. Tariff. Pray that the United States Supreme Court allows our country to continue its unprecedented march towards unparalleled greatness. Both our national and financial security have been stronger. Now, you'll weigh in on that, but whatever the case, in 2.5 minutes here, this market will close at another all-time high. Keeps going up.
True. Yeah, so it's classic Trump, all of them, and well, not really, because the Nasdaq is not, is not at 100, all-time high, but that's just him.
Details.
Details, exactly. So what happens is, look, markets rise despite the tariffs, not because of them, and I think that's the difference. And so, Wall Street's definitely doing fine, but Main Street is paying the bill on these tariffs. And so even though the market does hit highs for a number of reasons, it could be innovation, it could be earnings, it could be the outlook, tariffs is noticeably not on that list. And so that isn't the reason for the market to be at all-time high. It's for all those other reasons. And
what is the biggest reason now? What's the driver right now, the reason that this rally has been able to sustain itself for as long as it has?
Yeah, so what you're starting to see is some broadening out into the not just AI, which is a good, healthy sign of the market. So that's sort of adjusting a little bit, so more companies are participating in that. I think it comes down to a couple things. One, oil prices will come down if they come online and really start selling a lot of oil, which they can. So that's a big plus to keep inflation down. If inflation comes down, you combine that with perhaps more money in the pocket of people this calendar year. They spend more, so that economically translates into more things being sold by more companies, more earnings, and so that's the anticipation that you see in the market price.
Sometimes market participants look for a reason to sell when a market has rallied this much, right? In other words, like, it's kind of funny that this wasn't the reason. Like the Venezuela thing, that's, some people didn't start to say, let me take some big-time profits here after the big rally. We haven't seen that. We've seen the market continue to rally.
That's a great point. Oftentimes when you see something like, political instability or something like, bombs dropping or whatever, the market reacts very negatively, although a lot of those things are very short-lived. So perhaps this was just a matter of people didn't even have a chance to digest it before you saw everybody rallying in the streets to the positive, and so maybe that went on before the market even opened. So I think that's it. But you do find a lot of negativity in situations like that before everybody digests it, and then you move on, no matter what the story is. The market is bigger than any one event because it comes down to good companies running good businesses and earnings. That's in the long run.
Gabelli Fund? Is that Mario Gabelli ringing the closing bell? I don't know if
that's Mario's company, yeah.
That's his company. Good Fordham man, the great Mario Gabelli. Thank you, Doug.